That was heavy.
Trust me. You have nothing to be scared about.
So The Lodge is a new psychological horror film that was directed by the same people who brought us Goodnight Mommy. I pretty much knew nothing when it came to going into The Lodge, so I'm gonna be as vague as I possibly can when it comes to plot, so here we go. In The Lodge, we follow this family, and this family is going through something very devastating in their lives, until one day when a new person comes into their lives. The father of this family wants to take his family to a lodge in the winter near Christmas. However, when the father goes out abruptly for business and when a blizzard hits this lodge, let me just say this, things start happening. Alrighty guys, so let's get into The Lodge. Before I had seen The Lodge, I had not seen a single bit of footage for this movie whatsoever. Not a trailer, not a teaser, nothing. The only things that I knew about The Lodge was that it was directed by the same team who directed Goodnight Mommy, which is a terrific horror film, and one which, by the way, I highly recommend that one. The other things were that, of course, it was a horror film that Riley Keough was starring in, and it was being compared to, from what I saw, two horror films, and which I will get to a little bit. And this was a horror film that I had so much hope for, mainly because if you guys have seen my reviews for horror films earlier in the year, like The Grudge, Fantasy Island, Brahms the Boy 2, I was going into The Lodge not only knowing pretty much nothing, but just hoping for the first, not only for the first good horror film of 2020, but for the first great movie of 2020. And I'm sorry to say, guys, that I actually kind of loved The Lodge. Like, I kind of loved this movie. First of all, starting off with the performances, everyone in this movie is so damn good. From Riley Keough to Jaden Lieberher, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, to the little girl that plays the daughter of this family, to Richard Armitage. Seriously, everyone in this movie is so good, if not great in this movie. But the star of the show of this movie is easily Riley Keough, who gives such a performance in this movie. I mean, oh my god, Riley Keough in this movie is phenomenal in this. One particular thing that I loved about Riley Keough in this movie is that she goes through three particular stages. One of them being that she's very calm, cool, and collected at first. Then after some time goes, she starts to become unhinged. You see the box is checking. Then after one particular thing happens, oh my god. Creepy as fuck. She legitimately freaked me out in this. By the end, I was wide-eyed from Riley Keough, amongst many other things about this movie too. Jaden Lieberher and also the little girl who played the son and the daughter of this movie are so terrific in this movie. And one thing that I loved especially about the little girl, there is one scene that takes place in the beginning of the film. Now you can tell from how she is acting in this scene that she was taught certain values as a kid. And when these values come through in one very crucial part of this film, god damn, it almost moved me to tears. One particular thing that I absolutely loved about The Lodge was how this film was directed. The directors of the film, I'm never going to try and pronounce their names, so I'm going to put them right here because I know if I do, I'm going to butcher their names. But man, did they direct the hell out of this movie. From the moment that The Lodge starts to the final shot of the film, The Lodge is a movie that puts you in this very cold, dark, and a very just emotionally depraving state. And one thing I will say as well, to warn you guys as well, is that people have been saying that this film is really scary. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say this is a scary movie, but rather instead a unsettling. And I mean, this movie is a deeply unsettling movie that gets under your skin. And like I mentioned before, it does not leave your psyche. Like, I'm not even joking with you guys. The moment I left the theater and I came back home, I started playing some Doom, not just because I'm excited for Doom Eternal, of course, but at the same time, I wanted to get the cold, dark, unsettling nature of this movie out of my head, and that was not successful because there are many moments in this movie that I'm thinking about right now, and good god, like, I haven't been this unsettled in the movie since either Hereditary or It Comes at Night. And the unsettling nature and tone of this film is only added upon when you look at how certain themes are addressed. Like I mentioned before, I cannot go into because god damn, they are themes that do freak me out when I think about it. Another thing that I loved about The Lodge as well is that this film is beautifully shot. The Lodge uses some very muted blues with some grays as well. And I feel like that the color palette only added to the unsettling nature, because I gotta tell you right now, there are a couple of shots in this film. Damn, they looked amazing. I don't know what the budget of this film was, but they have some incredible cinematography. Something else that I really dug about The Lodge, and I will go into this a little bit later, is how this film goes from the second act to the third act. There is a particular plot twist in the film into which I have heard that people be divided by this plot twist, and now that I've seen it, I understood it. Some people will absolutely hate what happens, and some people will really dig what happens, and I was in the latter. And right when this movie ended, guys, I was wide-eyed, I was gripping onto my hoodie, and then the moment that the credits started, I just went, fuck. Do I think The Lodge was great? Absolutely. Do I think it could have been better though? Yes. First of all, when it comes to the character development of this movie, besides Riley Keough's character, the other characters really don't have that much development in this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, the acting in this movie is terrific. I love the performances of this movie. But besides Riley Keough's character, the kids in this movie particularly, while I did feel for them a lot, at the same time, there was really no development given for their characters at all. One thing in particular that I gotta talk about is that there is a reveal about halfway through the film, and when I saw this at first, I thought, oh my god. But then after a couple of seconds, I found myself going, hold up, wait, how did they do this? Wait, how did they do that? How did they do this? So as a result, while I do think that the reveal was really good, at the same time, after a few seconds, I did notice a few holes in the reveal that kind of took it away, but at the same time, by the end, the impact was still there for me. And one thing that I mentioned to you guys earlier was that there was a plot twist that takes us into the third act. This plot twist is a plot twist that will definitely divide a lot of people. Some people will absolutely hate it, or they'll absolutely love it. And I was one of the people that really liked it. However, I can see why others would definitely hate this twist. People have compared The Lodge to other horror films such as Hereditary and The Shining, and I can definitely see why people have made those comparisons, because I won't lie, when The Lodge does try and emulate some certain things, and I do think that The Lodge does try and emulate a little too much for those said films, but not enough to make me not like the movie anyways, because like I said, I thought this movie was great. This movie is just about an hour and 50 minutes from when I last saw for the runtime. There were definitely times when the pacing definitely felt like it dragged a little bit. And the other thing is that while I do think this is a great film, unless if a really close friend of mine wants to see it, or unless if it's just a buddy of mine wants to see it and they want me to see it with them, I cannot see myself watching The Lodge again for a long time or just ever. So overall, The Lodge is a film that's very cold, it's dark, it's emotionally depraving, it's a film that's very unsettling, and by the end, it had me in shock. I've seen a lot of people divided on The Lodge. Some people hate it, some people kind of love it. I'm on the side that kind of love The Lodge. And while I cannot see myself watching The Lodge again, I cannot deny that The Lodge unsettled me so much, really the best ways possible, that it had me shaken by the end. So all in all, I'm going to give The Lodge a 4.25 out of 5 stars. This is a movie that, like I mentioned beforehand, some people will absolutely hate it, some people will love it. I'm on the side that kind of loved it. Alrighty guys, so comment out and let me know below. Have you guys seen The Lodge, or what is the most unsettling movie you have ever seen? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. I'm also on Snapchat and Stardust. So if you guys want to follow me on any of those social media platforms, all the links and the usernames are in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Lodge. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for whenever a new video of mine goes live. If you guys want to see any of my previous 2 videos or reviews, please click either right there or there. And of course, until my next video, I will see you guys next time.